Hello everybody,
Hello.
uh, and and welcome to this Connect webinar. My name is Macarena Cuenca, and I'm the project manager of the Connect project. And well, as you all know, in the framework of this project, we have created a training that is being delivered in different countries, in 5 countries, in fact, in the UK, in Poland, in Denmark and Italy and in Spain. And of course, there are many things happening in the hubs at national level. But well, this is a European project, and we want to emphasize this, no? And that's why we have also created, and well, we are having some activities that are happening at international level to foster these international dimensions, no? Of course, from the beginning of the project, we had our internal meetings as partners, and this obviously have taken place throughout the entire project. But now in this year, in this 2019, we have started to have some international activities at broader level, no? So we started in January with the Turing Learning Mobility. There we were, 57 people, 35 participants, and around 20 partners. And we were, sharing together what we were doing and experimenting also with the training. Then we had also a webinar. That was our first experience with the webinar. We didn't have so many technical problems as today, but it was the first experience in March with some students and practitioners. We are now having this webinar with you, with the mentors, and then we are also preparing the final conference, the final training mobility in Bilbao. That's going to take place in the last week of November, and it's going to celebrate also the end of the project. And of course, you are more than invited to come and join us. So very briefly, just to tell you that this webinar is being recorded. Well, the first reason is that we need to have the evidence also for the European Commission, but we think that it might be also interesting for others, for other mentors that cannot join us today because very complicated agendas, and it might be also interesting if we can share this file with them. If anyone has any problem, well, you can just write me, and then we will see how we can share this just internally. But if there's no problem, we can also think of sharing it in our website. No? Well, technical recommendations, I send it to you also by email. So this is very easy to use, and it's just that it's recommendable that we turn off our audio to when we don't speak, to avoid potential noise. And then if we want to speak, just to use the hand raising and so on, so that we can organize the turns of speaking, and we can also use the chat box. So I think it's very easy. You can see already also that we have shared a PPT because we thought that it might be interesting also very briefly to introduce what we are doing in the different countries related to the mentoring scheme. And I hope that you can also all see that document. No? Well, let's start. Just very briefly, as you know, well, we are delivering this course in the different countries. That, of course, each of the countries and each of the programs has its own personality, but we also have many things in common. And some of the things that we have in common is the twins, our couples of students and practitioners that are delivering a real project with a real impact, and we also have in common that we have developed with all the practitioners and students a lot of hard skills, a lot of concepts, a lot of methodologies, a lot of tools, but we are convinced that this is needed, but it's not enough, because we also need to work and develop the soft skills. And that's why we have included this mentoring scheme, which is going to be the focus of this webinar that we are conducting today. So we thought that it could be very interesting to get together with all partners and mentors that are involved in these different mentoring schemes in the different hubs in the different countries, to exchange perceptions and how we are doing things also differently, and so on. The partners leading this mentoring scheme are Goldsmith and Melting Pro, that are today here represented by Adrian and Antonia, and they are going to also lead this webinar. They have also prepared some questions to trigger some debate, and we hope to have a very interesting and fruitful discussion. So I'm just leaving the floor to them, and I don't know, maybe and Antonia or Adrian, do you want to take the word?
So hello, yes. I think it might be useful for everyone who's on the Blackboard chat this morning to perhaps introduce themselves and say where they're from. I'm Adrian Delacourt. I'm from Goldsmiths, University of London. My department is the Institute for Creative and Cultural Entrepreneurship. And as Macarena said, Goldsmiths worked closely with Melting Pro. We developed the mentor training kit and the mentor tool guide that was then distributed to all of the partners. We led on the developing the mentor training, and now we are glad that you can join us this morning, because we're going to hopefully have a discussion and facilitate some international sharing about the experiences of the mentor aspect of the Twin Track program. Antonia, would you like to say something?
Yes, hello everybody. So I'm Antonia from Melting Pro, one of the partners in Italy of Connect. The other partner is Caraldo, but I'm representing both partners in this webinar. So they send their greetings. Yes, together with Adrian and Goldsmiths University, we have been working the mentoring scheme as a support to the Twin Track program and the Connect project. And I see that there are some ex-Adeste participants, not only from Italy, like Andrea and Angela, but also from Spain. So that's lovely. Nice to see you back and to talk to you. So yes, basically the aim of this webinar is to exchange ideas on your mentoring experience. But as Adrian said, I'll leave the floor to you to present yourself. Ciao.
So I've got the participants up on the list at the moment. If we go alphabetically, could I just ask each of you to say hello, who you are, and where you're from? So the first on the list after me is Andrea.
Okay, I'm Andrea. I work in the library of Verbania in Italy. I'm the director of the library and of the network of libraries of our country. Are more or less 25 libraries in the country. I participated at Adeste with Fitzgerald and Melting Pro in 20, I don't remember, 15. And then we are developing a project of audience development, which is named, as you don't expect it, the Library of the City. The aim of this project is to increase our publics and differentiate and make a fidelization with public. The project we are working now at that project. It will finish it in December 2020. So well, I don't know if I have to say something more about the project or not.
No, we just wanted an introduction to who you are and where you work and what your role is in the project. Thank you.
I don't understand, sorry.
Yeah,
I said
that's
no.
perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
So next on the list of the participants, we've got Angela.
Okay, I'm Angela. I'm head of office, culture office in the municipality of Montebelluna near Treviso. It's a public office that organizes the theater, library, and museum in the municipality of Montebelluna. So it's a public office.
Shall we move on to Anna, who's the next in the participant?
Okay.
Hi, this is Anna from TECLA, Communication and Audience Development Studio in Vitoria-Gasteiz, a based country in Spain. We are here two people. Is Irene too here with me? We are mentoring two people from Spain for the Connect project. So Irene, maybe you can say hello too.
This is Irene from Vitoria as well, as Anna has said. Yeah, we are working with two people. We were also in a DESTE project. And well, for us, it's the first time developing a mentoring project. And well, we are trying to do well, but I think that it will be very useful, this webinar, to understand how to make the difference between working in about the technical things or personal things. So we are trying to make the difference between one field and the other one, but we have some doubts about it. So I hope we can speak a little bit about this issue.
Hello everyone, this is Maria Rivas. I'm from Barcelona. I work at the Center for Contemporary Culture in Barcelona, and I'm mentoring two people from Madrid. So it's quite a challenge to do that, and I guess we will talk about that.
Yes, hello, Marcin from Poznań, from Poland. I am joining this session because we in our Polish hub decided also to get involved into mentoring process, being more like a tutors of students who are preparing the final projects. So we are sharing our role with real mentors, and Piotr will probably more precise explain the whole system we have in Poland. So nice to see you all, and hope that this session will be very great, very, very fruitful for us. Bye. Bye.
Hi, great, thank you. And now over to you, Marta, if that's okay.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hello everybody. I'm Marta. Hello everyone. Buenos dias, buongiorno tutti, and all that stuff, and everyone. I'm participating in this Connect tutoring process or project with Deusto University. I'm from Madrid. I'm mentoring two people from Madrid as well. And as some other people said already, I'm also having a little bit of problem trying to distinguish between mentoring and tutoring, because I have been tutoring for years, university students, but this is a kind of a completely different way of working. So I'm really eager to listen to you all, to know a lot about what you're doing. I have no experience. This is my very first time mentoring students. So I'm really looking forward to learning a lot from you all. Thank you.
Thank you, welcome. Nice to meet you. Next is Monique.
Hello, hi, I'm Monique. I'm from the Audience Agency, and we're working alongside Goldsmiths in arranging and doing the teaching on the Connect programme in the UK, and we're also working on the Adeste project. So I'm sure a lot of you have come across Jonathan Goodacre and Anne, our CEO, who's also working on that. We have a number of mentors from the organisation who unfortunately couldn't be with us on the call today, but will be able to share some of the challenges and the issues that we've had, and the positive things that we've also learned. I think that's me.
Great. Hello. Thank you. Next is Piotr.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me, or maybe you can even see me. So as Marcin introduced, we both represent Adam Mickiewicz University, which is only one of two partners within the Polish hub. So we cooperate closely with City of Warsaw in this regard. So our project makes our Polish context is quite specific because of this fact. I will later speak a little bit more in detail about how we went about the mentoring, which wasn't very easy in our Polish context, but for this, great to see all of you.
Next on the list is Susanna.
Hello, this is Susana, and I work for Zaragoza Cultura Compañía. It's a professional development service for cultural agents.
That's an introduction to everyone that's on the participant list. I don't know, Macarena, if you're with anyone in Diasto who wants to introduce themselves, or?
Yeah, I am with a colleague of mine, Maria Jesus, and she is also part of the program.
Okay, great. Hello, welcome.
Hi. Hi, good morning. My name is Maria Jesus Monteagudo. One of the person in charge of the expert program that we are teaching in Madrid. And well, I am very happy of knowing all of you, and thank you very much for your collaboration in this program. Thank you.
So welcome everyone this morning. Antonia, did you want to say anything else at this point?
Okay, maybe I can just introduce myself. So I'm Sonia Bakic, PhD student here at the University of Deusto, and currently working on audiences and jazz festivals. And I'm helping here a little bit with this audio video process. So enjoy you all. Thank you.
So welcome everyone. Antonia, did you want to say anything more at this point?
The point, I mean, some of the mentors have said their challenges that they're going through, and one of the points of this webinar was to discuss that, and also because it seems to be different in all the countries. So that would, I think is going to be a really interesting conversation.
Okay, great. So some of the partners I know have been asked to do a very brief introduction and have PowerPoints to present their work. Can I just check how many partners have a PowerPoint that they are going to talk through this morning as an introduction? I know the UK does, I know that Spain does.
Yeah, we have first Italy, then Spain, Poland, and the UK. And I guess for Denmark, Niels is going to connect at 11, but probably he's just going to explain what they are doing. We don't have PPT for Denmark.
Okay, so if then we shall do it in that order: Italy, Spain, Poland, UK, and then Denmark if they're able to join to talk through. So yeah. Italy, if I can pass over to you, would you like to give us your introduction?
Well, basically, so in Italy, why we wanted the mentoring scheme in Connect, first of all, because when we did the first Adeste project, people in the training told us that they needed somebody to kind of refer to during the process, to talk things through. We had the action learning going on in each country, but they also needed another kind of support. So this is why in the Connect project we decided also to try out a mentoring scheme. So to have a mentor, so that you could it could be a kind of a guide through the Action Research project. So in Italy, we have 12 mentors. Some of them are from the Adeste project, and some other ones are some new. So they are new to. They don't belong to any of the projects, but we were looking for mentors. I think the criteria that we applied was the experience in the cultural sector, the experience in audience development or organizational development, and another criteria was the how willing they were to nurture somebody else and to be there to listen. And to my surprise, we were actually very lucky, and we found that 12 people that were willing to join the process. So we had a mentoring training at the beginning of December in Turin. Also developed, we translated in Italian the mentoring guide. And basically we had an event in Italy so that we could present mentors to the mentees. Well, the thing is that we, unfortunately, not all the mentors were available on those days, so we asked them to record small videos. How we matching? We matched well, so we didn't have time to do a proper matching because training was 1 day and a half. And it was already quite long for people who are working. So we did the matching was based on the CV, on the needs of the mentees, and on the knowledge of that particular sector. And also, since the matching was done after, we did also the matching between practitioners and students. So we also matched them according a little bit the needs that we thought that the couple some need. Also, we have one-on-one mentoring here in Italy. So now we left the couples to manage themselves. They had they have at least 5 meetings. Some of them will meet face to face because they live in the same city. Other ones are doing it by phone or via other digital means. And to be honest, so far we haven't decided how we are going to celebrate the end of the relationship, because we are still evaluating while the process is active. We're going to have our last session in the middle of June, the twin track program session, and so by that time, probably the meetings between the mentors will also have finished. So we will figure out what it will be the best way to finish this celebration. So basically, this is what's happening now in Italy. Yeah, was that clear?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Antonia. Thank you very much. If we could move over to Spain.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Otra. Okay, so in Spain, I think more or less the structure is very similar to Italy. Here we are 12 mentors that one of it is Raúl, who is also a partner, and he's a practitioner, a cultural consultant with Asimétrica. We have also 6 people that participated in Adeste and were very close to us, and then 5 practitioners that were new, let's say, to the network, to the Connect network, but in a way they were also people that we have had met before and we already had some kind of relationship, no? And I think that was also very important, no? That the people also that came from Adeste, they were also very committed, and I think that was a key point, no? So mainly each one mentors 2 participants, mainly 1 student and 1 practitioner, but not always is like this because we have not the same number. We also have some individual projects because of different reasons. But in any case, the mentors mentor 2 participants from different projects. I think that was an important guideline that was coming from the VP leaders from Goldsmiths and Melting Pro, and that is really important. We had 2 full days of training, the mentoring training. The photo that there was from our training. It was in February, 2 full days in Madrid, and we can switch the slide. Yeah, we went through different tools, through the concept of mentoring and what is mentoring and the experience of each one. After this training at the beginning of February, then the mentoring scheme began the 21st of February here in Spain. We also had like a kickoff event, and we had 2 hours event together with the practitioners, with the students and the mentors and us. And that day it took place the first mentoring session. That mentoring session was face-to-face session there. And afterwards, in the middle, it was supposed to happen 1 mentoring session per month. So in March, April, and May. And of course, there are challenges. Maria already pointed out a challenge that in this case she's from Barcelona and she's mentoring people from Madrid. The same is happening with other mentors, because we wanted to have a national outreach. I mean, and not only stick to the local context in Madrid. So that's why this was also a challenge, and we left some freedom to have also some online mentoring sessions because of the restrictions and the reality, no? And we will have the closure in the 21st of June, and that won't be a mentoring session. That is just the celebration. We will be having a focus group with the mentors and a separated focus group with the practitioners and the students, and then we will celebrate together. that will maybe so. Okay, so and that's it for Spain. So the next one will be the UK. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to speak for us, Monique from the Audience Agency.
I'm here to help through as well.
To feed in as well. Yeah. So we had 11 mentors in the UK. So in February we had 11 students, and we paired up the students and practitioners, and based on their needs we assigned different mentors to them. So we had five of us from the Audience Agency. They are senior consultants who had specialists in the areas of the action research projects that each of the pairings were working on. And we had 2 from our partner organisation, Goliant Media Ventures, and there are 3 who were former graduates from the ICCE programme at Goldsmiths, and Adrian has also stepped in to do some mentoring for us there. We had the mentoring training in March. This was a session run by a colleague from Goldsmiths who is involved in a lot of coaching and training on that in that respect. And then the idea was from that point on that about 3 sessions took place between March and June. I think if we move on to the next slide, can I do that myself?
Yeah.
Yes. So similar to what you've also been mentioning in other places, we did pick mentors that were really in close contact with us due to the complexity of the program and the course. We were keen to kind of have people on board that we knew and really trusted, that they would suited in what their skill set was and how they could help people and talking through the mentoring process. Most of them had not actually done mentoring before, and we were really welcoming different use of their expertise. So we gave them, I believe the toolkit had a lot of different ways of approaching the tasks and starting those conversations. Again, we had some issues with people being dispersed around the country. So while we had said that it'd be ideal if the first session was face-to-face, or at least one of them, that in itself I think is proving to be a bit of a challenge, in that some of them are actually being done over the phone, but where it's, they're just trying to make it work to happen with the 3 sessions before the end of June. So we're also ending on the 21st with the last part of the program, the teaching of the course, and that will be when all of the mentoring should have taken place by. There's been some really positive experiences so far from our mentors, and I think that's probably all to say from our side. I don't know if you have anything to add, Adrian?
No, perfectly summed up, Monique, thank you.
Great.
Next is Poland.
So hi again. Let me briefly introduce how it works for us. So I simplified a little bit this process over here because it was indeed quite simple. We started on the 2nd of February when the second semester of our twin track program started. We had some kind of a bridge meeting, hub meeting in Warsaw, where everyone from both groups, from Poznań and Warsaw, were able to meet. And that was when our mentoring actually started. We attached like supervisors of the particular projects, and were able to think of the mentoring for them. So it's a still ongoing process, as in most of the cases we are finishing in the end of May. Can I change the slide? Over here. Okay, so it's us, so you can experience the harsh winter in Poland. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I had some technical problems. So as you can see, there are 8 mentors in Poland. 3 of them come from the university that I represent. 3 of them represent our partners from city of Warsaw. So it's namely Beata Dubiel, our partner. She is a freelance consultant and with a great experience in both business and culture fields. Marta Skowrońska, another partner from Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw, and Tomek Płochecki, who is apart from employee of City of Warsaw, he is also a very experienced researcher and sociologist. Apart from that, we had 2 external mentors that I would say were their role in the project was closer to consultants. I will talk about it in a minute. So our approach in Poland was somehow rooted in the needs of looking for a link between the expertise and field of expertise of the mentor and the particular challenge that was chosen within a group a pair of a student and practitioner for the second semester of the Connect project in Poland. So that was somehow our clue to go about it, and that worked quite fine for the two groups that I'm about to talk a little bit in detail, so you can see how it works in practice when speaking of two very particular projects and challenges chosen by our students, our participants. So one of that was and is still the Center of Cultural Information in Poznań. So this is this ancient historical device that you can see in the picture. They inherited it from another institution in Poznań, and that was a huge challenge for them, and is still a huge challenge for them, how to launch this and how to make people interested in coming to their institution and somehow participating in the offer. So the solution for the mentoring in this case was quite obvious and difficult at the same time, because there are very few experts of how to animate this kind of device in Poland, and one of them was luckily in Warsaw. Justyna Rutkowska is a head of educational department in the Rising Warsaw Museum, and also a head of Photoplasticon in Warsaw. So she knows really well how this entire machine works and what kind of programming and activities actually work for this. So she was happy to join the project as a mentor and our consultant, and she's still serving the group with her competences, and yes, it actually works pretty well for them. Another case is National Museum in Poznań, and their challenge had to do with culture organization and the problem of the people, employees of the first contact. So here you can see an example of a lady in the front desk during our study visit in this particular institution. And our solution for mentoring in this case was asking Marek Tyma, who is also a freelance consultant and a man with great expertise in the field of management and culture organization, to join the project in the role of the mentor for this particular group. So his competences could meet kind of a missing background for this project. So that is a very brief introduction to how we worked with mentoring in Poland, and I believe it's the last slide. So thank you.
So maybe we will ask the partners to tell us a little bit how they how was maybe difficult to find the mentor in the countries, and yes, maybe we could start with this question.
Okay, so in the case of Spain, of course, we had to contact more people than the people at the end have or are with us in the team, because obviously we are asking for an effort and for time of very busy people. But on the other hand, I think it was of a great help that the people that already took part in the ADESTE were wanting also, were prepared also to participate, and I think that also motivation was to maybe get together again. I don't know, maybe the mentors themselves can explain or add something to this, no? But of course, we also contacted people who at the end just denied, and it was not possible, the collaboration, no? Adrian.
So I just wanted to talk about the Goldsmiths experience, because we obviously partnered with the audience agency to recruit mentors. And the recruitment of the mentors started just after we'd actually recruited the students and practitioners. And I think, well, certainly unexpected for us was that we actually had applications from practitioners from quite high-level organisations in the UK, the Imperial War Museum, the Royal Shakespeare Company. So when we were looking for mentors, we encountered a couple of problems in terms of commitment of time, in terms of committing to a program that we didn't actually have a budget for, so we couldn't pay them. And so we lost a couple of potential mentors because we weren't able to pay them. And a lot of our network do actually sort of train, mentor, and work as consultants as a profession. So asking them to do this for free was difficult. And then as we started gathering a group here at Goldsmiths of interested people who we were going to train up as mentors, when they found out who they were going to be working with and realized that they were quite high level organizations, again, we had a lot of them drop out because it was too, for a first time mentor, it felt quite intimidating. So we actually had to work quite hard to find a group of graduates of Goldsmiths that we still work with who had the confidence and the experience to tackle the role of coming in to be trained as a mentor on the program. So we actually found it quite a challenge to recruit here. I don't know if that was the same for you, Monique. It took us a while to get our mentors in line.
Yeah, we had a similar situation on our side. I think hence going to a lot of our senior consultants, and the time commitment was quite a big issue from that point of view. We weren't able to necessarily match people with who we'd originally hoped we might be able to. And so we ended up reaching out to a slightly wider pool of colleagues or partners in that case to help us actually fulfill those positions and to make sure that they could commit the time to being involved in the program.
Maybe I will ask Andrea to reply to this question from Italy, from the Italian point of view, because as I said in the introduction, I was quite surprised how they were all willing to take part in this mentoring scheme, although it was not paid, although maybe even the goal was a little bit vague, and maybe this is due to how we explained it. But there was an active, they were quite engaged. So, Andrea, why do you think? Why do you say? Why did you say yes to be part of the mentoring scheme, to be a mentor in Connect? What was your motivation?
Well, the motivation mainly is because we took part of the STA of the development process from the beginning. So for me, for us, I suppose it's natural to participate to this project, and we are interested to the development of these teams, of these arguments, and so it was like natural to say yes to this proposal from you. And if you want to know, we are matching with a student and the organization of Tuscany, and with the first one we are working a little bit, well, not so much, because the distance is big and the time and the agenda are busy, so it's not easy to work together. But they wrote a draft, so a project, and we discussed by email on this first project, and they are now writing again. So I don't know, modify this project before the kickoff of the project Mm-hmm.
And Andrea, you remember that you said that you didn't want to be partnered with a library. You wanted to try another sector.
Yes, I asked to work with another sector, but the student I matched with a student who works with a library. So in a way, I work with a library the same. That's okay, because it's a big library in Italy and important, and then they work very well. So I'm happy for this.
Okay, thank you.
Answer to your ask.
No, I think you replied to the question. I don't know if there was somebody, a mentor from Spain, and Maria, you put your hand up before. I'm not sure if still up.
Sure, no problem. I just wanted to say that I went into this mentoring scheme because Macarena asked, of course. I was an ADESTE participant, so I found the whole process very interesting. So I wanted to follow up and see what was the follow-up in the Connect project. So I think it's very interesting to be part of all these projects. But also very interesting here in Spain because there's very few schemes about audience development. There's a lot of people talking about audiences, about putting audiences at the center of the organizations, but there's not much training in that. So I find it really interesting to be part of this training. Also, well, we'll talk about the challenges later, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Raul, you just had your hand up there. Did you want to?
Well, my case was one in which I was teacher and mentor. So that gave me the advantage, I think, of knowing the students in advance. So when I was assigned to a student as a mentor, I felt that I could do a better job somehow. So meaning that a previous knowledge of the people or their cases could be healthier for future editions or something. Because I don't know what the experience of another mentor that didn't know the students could be like, you know, like because the biggest, well, I'll talk about the challenges later too, but you know, in terms of how to select or how to connect the mentors and the mentees, I wanted to add that knowing them in advance could be an advantage. Thanks.
Well, I think Andrea can answer this question because he didn't know neither of the mentees, the practitioner and the student. And yeah, they are at the big. Yeah, they are beginning of the process. So, Andrea, what do you think? Would have been better to know them much more in process?
Well, I don't really know. Up to me, it's not a problem to the fact that they didn't know them before. It's easy for me to read and in a way to make observations on the project because the project is concerning a library, so it's for me very simple, quite simple. But no, I don't think it's difficult to the fact that I didn't know them before.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. I think there was Adrian.
Yeah, so as I said, I explained that we found it quite difficult to recruit potential mentors and mentors for the project, but we got there in the end. Obviously, and working with the audience agency, we found a great bunch of mentors with great experience. But during the training, when the training session was coming up, obviously there were then a number of graduates from our program and from other programs in theatre that I'd worked with and knew incredibly well in a different context. One, first of all, as students, but two, then as professionals working in the area. But I had a very different relationship with them because I knew them quite well. So we decided, when we came together with the audience agency, we decided in the usual situation, it would be myself and my colleague Sean delivering the mentor training session because that's our main area of work. But because we knew so many of the potential mentors so well, we decided that it would be much better and more effective for them if we brought in an external trainer, one of our colleagues, Nicola Turner, to come in and deliver the training. So I think that sort of knowledge of knowing the mentors and mentees and how well you know them is quite influential in the way that you work on them. So I think that's a really interesting question. And of course, the other surprise for us was one of the mentors from the original training had to drop out due to work commitments, and so desperate to look for another mentor to step in, and I had to do that. So again, that thinking sort of back reflecting on that, I think again it was better that I didn't do the training because now I'm actually part of that mentor set for this program, and it's just interesting how those things can happen. Susanna, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to add that for me it was a problem, the lack of information in relation to the project. I was feeling that I was trying to guess. So maybe for an exhibition, it could be really good if the mentor can have more information about the project and about everything.
About the Connect project, you mean, Susanna? I understood correctly.
About the strategy, the project that they are trying to implement. I felt this with the student, so I have no idea if it was something related that she felt she couldn't give me more information, and I couldn't work with the practitioner, so I don't know, but at least with the student, it's a really good relationship, and even she has been contacting me when she had problems. But for me, even I've asked her for more information, but she felt she couldn't give me that information.
So I think there's a bit of a problem for some people with the sound levels coming over. I can just about hear you, Susanna, but I think Diesta are having quite a problem listening to you there. I don't know if you can adjust the microphone or no, but I managed to pick most of what you said then. I think maybe we'll go to Raul and then perhaps we can come back to you, Susanna, in a moment.
Okay.
I totally well, a similar thing happened to me in terms of not enough information about the project they wanted to achieve for me to be helpful as a mentor. In some cases it's because they didn't have a clear idea, but in some other cases it's because they had an idea that was changed when the student and the practitioners finally designed the final path somehow. So even the information that I could have about the project and the objective they wanted to achieve, that changed, and most of my mentorship in the end had to do on how to deal with a situation that was agreed but then changed, and not being clear about what the objectives were in the end. And as a mentor, I didn't have contextual, or that maybe could have made it more helpful. I have the feeling that that's what I mean.
So it seems as if Susanna's having ongoing problems with the microphone at the moment, but there's lots of hands up everywhere. And our next request to speak is Maria.
Hello. Following up to what my Spanish colleagues were talking about, I think that part of the function of the mentorship was to sort of try to understand, not understand us, but try to make our the practitioners understand what were the objectives of their projects. So we didn't need to understand. I think we didn't need to understand. We had to make them sort of tell us what was their problems or what challenges they found in having those objectives clear, and what challenges they had with the other partner they had for the research. So I think that was one of the functions that as mentors we had to do, because they were the tutors doing other things. So more linked to the to what the project was. So that was really interesting, because my two people I'm mentoring, I'm too close to the projects they're doing, and I keep on sort of trying to tutor them, but then I sort of try to not to do it, and it's very difficult for me. It's very challenging. So I guess someone else is also on the same page as me, I guess.
So I think we're hearing very similar situations there, in that a lot of the challenges have been around the mentees actually articulating the objectives, their intentions of the project, but also, and it's certainly something that I encountered here in the UK, the mentees, the student and the practitioner, actually differentiating between the learning of the twin track program and the role of the mentor around personal development and soft skills, and trying to be able to detach those two. They weren't really, or they still aren't, and that's something that we're trying to work through at the moment, is that I'm there as a mentor. I'm not there in this role. I'm not there as their tutor. That's a very different thing. Marta, I think you're next to.
Yeah, I would like to comment on a couple of things that my previous colleagues were talking about. I totally agree with what Raul was saying. And I really think that there was a lack of information at the beginning, for at least for some of us, at least for me, let's put it this way. Because as I said before, this is the first time I'm mentoring students and practitioners. So I try to detach the mentoring activity or the mentoring help that we may give to our participants in this project to the tutoring that I've been doing for years. So I'm trying to get more into the, let's say, psychological or more personal relationship between the participants and the project than the most technical problems or academic problems, let's say. So for me, it was kind of complicated to understand exactly what I was supposed to do. And after a while, I realized, of course. And there's another thing that it's kind of complicated or strange to deal with, at least for me, which is the different approach that a student and a professional have to the same project. I mean, this mentoring is totally different when you're talking to someone who is 20, 23, 24, 25 years old, and someone who is already a professional and is 30 something or 40 years old and knows, he or she knows very well what they are dealing with. And they, when they talk about problems, they're not talking about personal problems or, close approaching problems to the project, but they're talking about technical things. So as a mentor, it becomes very different to talk to a student and to try to guide him through this mentoring scheme that we are developing than to mentor a practitioner that is already a professional. So I would really love to hear more about what your experience is in this subject. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of agrees there. So Irene, you wanted to comment.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. For us, has been very interesting being in Connect project because of the community interested in working audiences, and maybe as mentors, we missed a little bit working with others around this issue, around audience development, because we have focused in how they have been living their projects and how they are managing their projects, but not how they are developing audiences, because it was tutors' work, at least here in Spain. So maybe I missed a little bit going deeper around the audience's work.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think there are many challenges on the Connect project. One of them is that a lot of these people that we're bringing in as mentors are experienced professional people, and are stepping, quite a lot of them are stepping into the role of being a mentor for the first time. So there's an amount of learning that is being developed from the mentors themselves, and I think it's really interesting that sort of outlining the objectives and the purpose in the roles of the mentors, perhaps over the project. Perhaps there needs to be a little bit more work done to clarify that. I know that we've got a couple of hands up, but I'm really interested with Raul's comment here. Just, you say, just a feeling that maybe could have done a bit more. Would you mind expanding on that a little, Raul?
That feeling might come because it's my first time as a mentor. So I really, right? Because after listening to Maria, it's almost like the temptation to jump deeper, because that's how we are. But maybe a mentor shouldn't do that, which I think is what Maria was saying or suggesting, and as a challenge. And after Maria's comment, because I agreed with Susanna, I had the feeling that I could have helped more in any sense, including soft skills, like strategic, what the mentor's supposed to do. Support, accompaniment, enlightenment if I could, or examples or something, experience, if I had more and better information about the project. But in the end, maybe I didn't, maybe that's not what a mentor should do. So, now after this webinar, I maybe have a clear idea of what I should do in the next time. It's almost like tango. You have to content to follow the melody.
I think tango is a lovely analogy for it. But part of that is the performance, and part of that is the confidence and developing the skills. Do you think it might be, this is a question, open question, I think, do you think it's about confidence? I've got Piotr and Antonia and Maria in line.
Okay, so just to sum up our experiences in Poland, I don't want to repeat most of the challenges that we actually shared. I would need to really repeat most of the challenges that you, Adrian, and Monique from the UK mentioned when in terms of selecting and finding the right mentors. But I really liked, and this I would like to tackle what Marta from Spain said, because I also think of whether that would be possible for us to facilitate better somehow the bounds between the mentors and the students. The problem in Poland is, and maybe this somehow differentiates our Polish context, is that mentoring is not a commonly used tool for education. As I believe, it's not very common thing. So probably, in this case, I agree with Raul. We don't have a common understanding how this could work. We don't really think of psychological aspects of it. It's more like, okay, the relationship between student and a person with a greater experience in Poland is like kind of a formal thing. So what didn't work probably well in Poland was that students themselves don't have this automatic feeling that, oh, I should ask the mentor, I should ask my tutor, because the relationship is a little bit more formal. So I think what would be a solution here is, if we plan this for another time, is how to facilitate this greater and more like friendship bond between them.
Between the mentor and the mentees?
Exactly.
Right. That's interesting again, isn't it? How you facilitate a relationship between two individuals. Antonia.
I wanted to reply to maybe Raul's comment that you are all good people and you want to do more. But it's true that, as you know, it wasn't. I think we didn't want you. We wanted you more to guide the people in yes, more to guide them. But of course, since you are very good people, caring people, you want them to succeed. So yes, as Adrian said, maybe we should work more around the boundaries and the role of the mentor. I was thinking also that in Italy, some mentees saw the mentors, they didn't understand really their role. So I think some of them didn't use the mentor because they were too busy. So I think we need to work more around that for the next time. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to comment also on Raul's comment.
Thank you. Maria.
Yes, I wanted to follow up on what Raul was saying also. Perhaps something that Antonio also said. It has been difficult really for me to not to give much advice on the projects of my two people I'm working with, the two mentors I'm working with. It's because both projects are about understanding the audience of their own organizations. And that's one of the things I have been doing for a long time. So I have a long experience on that. So really, I haven't been that very good mentor that has been stepped back, because I have given them also advice on the project, and they have asked me also to explain how we do things here at the center, so that they could sort of what was my experience on several things. So it's been really a challenge that, but I think that I think that they partnered me with those two people just because of that. So perhaps that was one of the things that also a mentor should do, is to help them out with the project in a different way that the tutor will do, which is more academic, more formal, shall we say. I'm not sure. So please help us. I guess Antonio was sort of looking at the boundaries of that.
I think, again, none of these, I think all of these all of these challenges, none of them are completely black and white. I think that's being a mentor and having a mentee. I think that's what's important about the first meeting, or the first couple of meetings, that you establish what the relationship is, will be, and could become, but being really clear what, as a mentor, you're prepared to give and where your boundaries are within that relationship. And I think, to a certain extent, just because we're all individual, creative people, we have to make those decisions as individuals sometimes. I'm interested to know perhaps what you've gained from, one, being a mentor, and two, as a partner supporting the mentors in the process. Do you feel that as mentors you've developed new skills? Do you think as mentors you found new ways of working? Have you learned from your mentees and partners? How has it been supporting and developing a new group of mentors in the process? Yes, Marta.
Yes, I think so. Professional as a person myself, in the personal way and in the professional way. I have learned a lot. And every time I talk to them, I learn more. Number one, I learned from the student. Among the two people that I am mentoring, I learned from the student because I see myself in her when I was younger, and I realized how difficult it is to find your way in the professional field. And I think it's something good that we can offer them our experience and our point of view about how to deal with this. And of course, I'm learning a lot from the other person from the other mentee that I am working on, the professional, because he knows a lot about all the technical problems that any professional in the museums area has to deal with, all the institutional and technical bureaucracy and all that stuff, and I learned about how to deal with problems in a professional way. I mean, being resilient and being tough enough, but being flexible enough to deal with problems. So I think I'm incorporating that to my own perspective and to my own practice as a professional, as a teacher. Thanks.
Really interesting, thank you. Raul, please. Yes.
I learned that I have no idea of how to be a mentor. You know, that's what I learned. That is like, what? I need much more preparation, and this might be useful for the group. I, blaming myself, I didn't go to the mentors preparation session because I had a different meeting, a business meeting. I didn't go to that training sessions for mentors. And I knew that when, like the day after. And I also knew that when I first met, my mentee in that gathering that Deusto prepared for the first meeting out of the 3 or 4 that, we will have or we've been having with them. So I don't know how important that training session might be, because what I've learned is that I have the feeling that I need more preparation as a mentor because of that, precisely that contention approach of it, and precisely because of the same thing Maria was saying, that we're people with a lot of experience in similar projects that they're putting on the table. At least we are. I mean, I am with Asymmetrica, and Maria developing audiences like for 20 years already. So the temptation about jumping, and I felt that I needed more skills to refocus in what the value I could add to the mentee could have been. So it's the insecurity maybe is because I didn't go to that training session, and maybe around that training session there are some of the clues to help people like me that have not a previous experience being a mentor. Thank you.
Really interesting. Maybe we hopefully will get a chance later to talk about sort of feedback about the training sessions from each partner. That would be really interesting. For now, Irene, you have your hand up.
Yeah, we agree with Raul. We realized that we have no idea how to be a good mentor. So we know that, or we realize that we need more and more training about this issue. And also, it has been very important thinking about how important is listening the other person to try to help this person. So listening, and not stop listening, because probably this person has the solution, but he or she doesn't know. And the last thing, I think that so working audience development, it doesn't mean only thinking about audiences, but also about the organization. So it is a very, I don't know the word in English, but transversal or cross, or so that we need to think about all the organization and not only about the audiences, because the problems we find are linked with all the organization. Sorry about these noises, because I have a little baby with me. So I don't know if you hear.
No problem.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
So that's it. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing now, I think, is quite interesting. It's those that didn't attend the training sessions perhaps feel that they're not quite prepared to step into the role of a mentor. Could be about sort of the techniques, the skills, the knowledge, the toolkits that you gain from the training session. But again, I think possibly partly a confidence factor as well. And also, Irene, just to say that sometimes mentors don't have to have all of the answers, but sometimes they should just be able to work with their mentees to find possible options as well. It's not necessarily about having the right answer at your fingertips all the time. It's the confidence and the ability to be able to guide your mentee too. But it would seem that there was obviously value for those that did go to the training sessions. And I wonder if you've got anyone online with us who was at a training session or ran a training session to talk about the feedback or the experiences that you had from the sessions. Yes, Maria.
I think the training sessions were really very useful because it gave you all these resources that you could use, but also the framework of mind of what more or less your role should be, even though in the end it's not so, we're not so rigid about that. As I told you, I had difficulties in not getting into the project and understanding also the project, but I've been trying all along all these mentoring sessions to try to help them to go on with the project and try to help them to overpass the difficulties they were finding in the project. But also one session a month is kind of difficult to follow up with the project because, as you know, all projects have their own timeline and they had to hand in the project, the academic project, I think it was at the end of last month, I don't remember, but they have already done that and we still have one mentoring session because of the practice of the project. And we don't have any feedbacks in the middle, so it's kind of difficult to follow up with this 1 month session. But it's also good because you only get an in-depth. I'm not sure if it's good or not, but for me, for the time I have, it's not. But it's kind of difficult to follow up the projects or try to help them. As it's only 1 month, once a month session. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you understand me or if I'm explaining myself too well. But I find it good in one part, but also difficult in the other one. So I'm not sure which is best.
Okay, it's interesting. Again, for us in the UK, of course, we had a mix of more experienced mentors from the industry and people who were new to taking on the role of the mentor. That's why we ran the training sessions. But and now they've all gone on to start working with their mentees. But it's worth reminding them that for some of them who are very new to this, we are still here for them as the trainers of the mentors. They can come back to see us if they've got questions around their roles and their relationship as a mentor because they're new to it. But I think a lot of them have forgotten that we are a resource to them as well. So it might be good for us in the UK to remind all of the new mentors that they can come back and they've got a place to come to for support during the process as well. Susanna, I think you've got quite a lot to comment on here. You're saying that you're using tools that you've developed and skills that you've developed, and you also said that you think the mentees, the students and the practitioners might not quite have expected what the role of the mentor in this twin track project was. So if your mic should get fixed or up and working at any point, do message. It'd be great to have some comments, but I'm happy to translate your notes if you want to send them through. Diesto, over to you.
Okay, yeah, it's Macarena. No, I wanted just to make a comment regarding the training session for the mentors because, in our context here in Spain, no, because in our case, the program, the training program is a new postgraduate program, and that's why we needed to have like a formal project, and that's why we have also academic tutors, and maybe yeah, that's also, well, I don't know if it's a bit of a problem or not, but we have the two roles. We have the role of the academic tutor, it was more linked to the design in the sense that they had to, well, deliver an assignment, and well, yeah, they were more concerned about the formal content and methodology and so on. And then we have the mentors who are experts with a lot of experience in audience development in the field here in Spain, and they are working with the mentees together. And we had in a way a parallel situation, because they were interacting well at the same time. No, the student or the practitioner, they had the feedback of the tutor, and then they had also the feedback from the mentor. So, and that's why in the training session for mentors, we just focused on the mentoring part. So even the trainers, it was not us that are linked to this project in audience development. So it was not me training the mentors. I was there, but there were people coming, experts from that are related to just mentoring. No, so we didn't even talk through about audience development through the mentoring sessions those 2 days. No, and those people, they made a great a very big emphasis in in setting the focus in the personal development and so on, so and not getting mixed in the technical part. Of course, as Maria was pointed out, when we did the matching, no, of the practitioners and students between mentors, we tried to link that make sense, no, because of the experience and the project. So we had the information of the projects, and we did our best in that sense, no. So at the end, we knew that the mentors were going to touch a little bit those technical points, no, but probably in a very different way than the tutors, no, the academic tutors, which was completely different, no. And yeah, I agree also with Susana, with the comment of Susana, that maybe the students and the practitioners didn't know what to expect from the mentoring sessions. No, it was for us also the first experience, and probably we didn't give them the information, and so probably they, yeah, I agree with that. So probably they didn't know what to expect. No. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I agree. From the UK perspective as well, we had a blurring of the roles between mentor and academic tutor. Complicatedly, I'm playing both roles, so students and practitioners can come to see me for academic guidance around their action research project, but I also get, when I'm seeing my mentees, them asking me questions around their academic, their submission for the project, rather than seeing me in that role of a mentor as a soft skills developer, personal, individual development, all of those sort of things that the role of the mentor should be playing. So yeah, we are getting blurring of lines and boundaries here as well too. I don't know if Melting Pro, you wanted to say something because you delivered the mentor training. Did you have any feedback from the participants? What have you observed? Yes, Antonio.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask Andrea, because he was in the training. So since I delivered the training, I'm not the best to to answer the question, of course. So maybe Andrea, you were there at the training. What do you think?
Well, the experience is not a big at that time, because as I said, I work not so much with Menti, with the organization. So what I've learned is that when you approach for the first time with the audience development, like in the case of the student, of the Menti I work with, it's strange because you don't think enough to the public. So when I read the project, their project, I understand that I was like them 3 years ago. So you write a project and you think I have to write a project about the public, but you don't really to the public seriously. I want to say. I mean, you think to the public like in a generical way. The most the big I don't know the main observation that I did at the project was that the approach to the public was a bit generical. So my suggestion was to study to define more that part of the project. If you want, it's strange because you are working at the project of audience development and you don't think enough to the public. But it's I think it's normal because when we worked at the Este project, we were I had the same problem because you need time to understand what segmentation of public means and what understanding the public means. And the other part of the problem is that I think audience development is mainly work with the communities. So the project we did until 3, 4, all we not all but many of all did until 3 or 4 years ago. Offered a product to public, you know, didn't make participation of communities in the building or in the development of projects. So this is what I want to say. And the other thing I want to replicate to what someone of you said before. I have no relationship with the organization I have to match with. So I'm working with a student, with a mentee, but not with the organization, with the other organization I was matched with. And I think it's because, as like someone of you said, because we are understanding like not necessary. I'm a librarian, and obviously the librarians are not useful at the humanity. So I think for a cultural organization, the answer is what utility the mentor can give us. So I think this is a problem, and probably it's because at the kickoff I didn't meet directly that organization, and probably it's for this. So it's all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Antonio.
maybe yeah, just yeah, following up on what Andrea said, maybe we should have worked more as Deusto did in I mean 2 hours event to network the mentors with the mentees was not enough. But there is always a challenge of time. So, for example, Andrea didn't have time to meet because he's matched with the orchestra of Toscana, and they are going through a very difficult phase. So I mean, the person still hasn't approached the mentor. So probably I'm not sure. I think maybe the matching we should have done the matching differently somehow, and yes, and having more time for the mentors and the mentees to connect. But the trouble was with time. I mean, the mentors come from all over Italy. And we were lucky enough to have most of the mentors on the training that day, even though we planned it so far in advance. But there are always challenges, so probably we should have done the matching differently. So yes, so probably that would have solved also the expectations from the mentors, you know, from the mentees about the mentors.
Thank you, Antonia. So I am very well aware that we've only got a few minutes left because we need to, a lot of people have to move on at 12 o'clock, and I want Macarena to have the last word to wrap up on this meeting. I think this has been incredibly useful, and we could have talked for a lot longer around this, so maybe there'll be an opportunity to do that again soon or in the future. And I think a lot of learning has come out of this conversation about things that now we know all of the partners might do differently, but I would love to just end on some of the strengths that you've found from the mentoring program with mentors working with mentees. And certainly, I think from our perspective in the UK, definitely relationships have been set up between mentees, students, and organisations, practitioners from organisations that I know will continue. So it's been great in terms of growing our network. It's been great in terms of growing our partners and developing new relationships that I know will continue for a lot longer. If anyone wants to say anything about the strengths. Antonia?
Yes, I mean, we've been gathering feedbacks from all the mentors, and they're they're really enjoying the relationship, you know, with the mentees and the mentors, and all these challenges are also kind of a tool to let them reflect on their practice. But I think it's really important to understand better how to probably how and if you know, to follow up with this with the mentoring scheme, and how it's going to be connected with the Twin Track program, because I think time is a challenge. So we have, as partners, we have to think about that.
Lovely, thank you very much. So I think we've kind of come to a natural conclusion now, unless anyone else wants to say anything about their experience and the strengths that has come out of this. And if not, then I'm going to hand it over to Macarena so that you can.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Adrian, and thank you, everybody. I think now it's time to finish because we were supposed to finish at 11:30, but because of the technical problems and so on, finally we have had this delay. So thank you, everybody. I think it was worth at the end to have this webinar, and I really appreciate to have had so much of the discussion. And I have to say also a big thank you to Adrian and Antonia for chairing this session. So bye-bye, thank you, and I hope to see you all at least here in Bilbao in November, if not before, no?
Thank you, bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.